Previously, our protagonist Gang Yu visits a game store that he hadn't been to since he was a child. The saleswoman recommends a game called Real World Mobile, which at first seemed like a typical game, but wasn't. Our protagonist discovers that every mission he fails to complete in the game has consequences that reflect in his real life. In the previous episode, Gang Yu had to confess his love to a girl, unaware that she was the fiancée of the bully in his class. Now, Gang Yu must face the bully in a duel. Already at the fight location, the two bullies are staring at Gang Yu, and one of them sends the other to watch for any teachers, setting a tense fight atmosphere. Gang Yu is desolate. One bully questions him about his confession to Jiseon and whether he truly liked her. Gang Yu replies that he didn't know Jiseon was Daeyoung's fiancée. The bully, irritated by Gang Yu's declaration, calls him a fool and punches him hard. The other bully remarks that anyone in Daeyoung's place would be disgusted by this situation, wondering how Gang Yu didn't know. Both then kick Gang Yu, who is already on the ground. Meanwhile, a girl is discussing the situation with Jiseon, who asks not to talk about it due to embarrassment. A friend wonders how a loser like Gang Yu could do such a thing. Another friend of Jiseon comments there was no need to tell Daeyoung, as it was obvious he would have destroyed Gang Yu. Jiseon finds the situation amusing, blaming Gang Yu for not checking if she had a fiancé. One friend remarks that Jiseon is more wicked than she appears, and she just smiles. Back to Gang Yu, he remains on the ground getting beaten. His phone falls and a bully curses him, saying Gang Yu made a grave mistake and should have not dared to do so. The bully acknowledges Gang Yu's bravery, being the first to declare love to Daeyoung's fiancée. The other agrees no one had ever dared to do that. They demand Gang Yu to say something with his audacious mouth, and then kick him away, continuing the assault. Gang Yu, lying on the ground, reflects on the situation and how he got into it because of that cursed game. He thinks about the pain of getting beaten and his nervousness, feeling detached from the situation. When a bully grabs him by the shirt collar and lifts him saying he won't die today, Jiseon watches with a sinister smile. The bully admires Gang Yu's courage and suggests he should at least strike back. The other said that he is right and recognizes his bravery, as he declared himself to the bride of the strongest in the school. So he sends Gang Yu to attack them. Gang Yu apologizes, saying he doesn't want to hit them. The bully thinks of something more interesting, suggesting they resolve it while possible. He proposes if Gang Yu wins, they'll let him go. The third bully is confident in defeating Gang Yu and prepares to fight. Gang Yu refuses, leading to another bully questioning his sanity, as they would kill him with beatings if he doesn't fight. So Gang Yu prepares for the fight. A bully mocks Gang Yu's stance, predicting he'll get beaten and urging him to improve. Gang Yu, downtrodden, watches as the bully charges at him, telling him to prepare for a beating and to stop testing his patience. Gang Yu then gets ready for the fight. The other bully, observing, wonders if Gang Yu will finally fight. The fighting bully asks if Gang Yu wants to die, charging at him with a punch and calling him an idiot. Gang Yu questions why he's enduring this unfair treatment, as Jiseon looks on with contempt. Suddenly, two phones appear with a 3-hour timer. Gang Yu continues to question why this is happening and why these demons keep doing this. Suddenly, Gang Yu reacts, punching the bully with all his strength, sending him crashing into a pillar. Everyone is shocked by the scene, as Gang Yu's punch was so powerful it broke the wall. When Gang Yu opens his eyes, he sees the defeated bully, unconscious against the wall, and his assailants in shock. As everyone starts to flee, they wonder about Gang Yu's newfound strength. He then rushes to retrieve his phone, completing the mission with an added strength boost, and runs off furiously, cursing the game. So Gang Yu was sitting on a bench, thinking about what had happened, wondering if he gained so much strength with just a 1-point increase, and what 1% of strength might represent, as he had no way to measure how much strength he had gained. So he decided to test it on a tree, thinking that if he had gained more strength, something would happen to the tree, and if not, nothing would happen. Staring at the tree, he admitted that he had never struck anyone in his life, and he wondered if this could break the tree or not. So, despite being nervous, he decided to give it just one kick, and when he did, a piece of the tree broke, leaving everyone around wondering what had happened to this boy. Soon, he became the center of attention and ran away in a panic. When he appeared on a street, tired and sweaty, he then said that he couldn't study the game anymore because he was busy with missions, and his conditions were terrible. He mentioned that now he might have some idea of what this game is about, because if things continued this way, a tragedy could occur. So, he checked his statistics on his phone and saw that his strength had increased by 1 point, and he couldn't access more statistics, which he could in a normal game. But in this one, only the state appeared. Then the option to enter a dungeon appeared, and he wondered what function that was. When he clicked on the option, the Game Master appeared and told him that he needed to be at least level 5 to enter. So they told him he couldn't go there now, and that he should improve his attributes. He clicked and found that his attributes weren't even at level 1. He noticed that his strength was only 1 point when it probably should have been 1 before. Now he understood why his strength had increased so much. He realized that he was now 10 times stronger than before and concluded that he had been a real loser before. He continues to analyze his abilities and sees that he now has 0.08 dexterity and 0.05 life. He couldn't understand why his values were so low, except for his luck, which was at 2. Gangu found it strange because he was suffering from bad luck. Then he had an idea and realized that he had been very lucky to discover the game compared to ordinary people. But the only problem was that it was difficult to understand the game. Then Daeyong appeared and asked why the idiot was in the infirmary. Daeyong inquired why they were so afraid and asked if they had completed their mission. One of the bullies told Daeyong that Gangu was stronger than they had thought. Daeyong replied that it was 3 against 1, and the bully said that Gangu didn't seem human, and they couldn't explain it in words. Daeyong told them to stop being stupid and ordered them to kill Gangu now, or he would do it himself. Gangu is walking through the streets and realizes he missed a class without even noticing. He decides to go home but can't because he left his backpack at school. Fortunately, he remembers that he managed to defeat the bullies by luck, and now he doesn't have time to worry about it. He realizes he's become much stronger, but still doesn't want to go back to school because he feels guilty for everything that's happening. So he decides to head straight home. Suddenly, someone calls his phone, and when Gangu answers, it's Daeyong asking him why he hasn't returned to school. Daeyong blames Gangu for starting trouble with a girl, and Gangu realizes it's Daeyong on the other end of the call. Daeyong admits he didn't even know Gangu existed since he was always playing games in the classroom. However, he heard that Gangu is a skilled fighter, and that's why he confronted him. The bullies claim their fight wasn't enough, and one of them suggests that Gangu might be stronger than he seems. Daeyong shouts at them to shut up and leave, and he expels them with punches, declaring that they don't deserve to be on the same team as him. He then turns back to Gangu and tells him to return to school to settle their score because he's going to destroy him. Daeyong mentions he has Gangu's backpack with all his games in his hands and threatens to destroy them if Gangu doesn't come. He even offers to have his friend Hyojun fight in Gangu's place if he doesn't show up. Gangu warns Daeyong not to mess with Hyojun, but Daeyong insists he should return quickly or else. Back at school, a teacher is giving a lesson, and Daeyong is glaring at the entire class. Meanwhile, others discuss that it won't be easy for Daeyong to take on Gangu, who is very strong and shouldn't be underestimated. They consider convincing Daeyong not to fight. Their conversation is interrupted by Gangu's arrival, who apologizes to the teacher and is told to enter without disrupting the class. His friend is relieved that he showed up. Meanwhile, De-Yong's bullies' allies comment that they are in trouble, and Ji-seon observes the situation. When the class finally ends, De-Yong approaches Gang-woo, calling him useless and saying they need to settle the score. Gang-woo suggests there might be a misunderstanding, but De-Yong interrupts and questions if that's how he destroyed his ally earlier. Gang-woo understands where his bravery comes from and claims he's very strong, and they have many misunderstandings to resolve. De-Yong invites Gang-woo to come with him to settle everything at the fight location. Gang-woo is surprised but goes along. Arriving at the fighting spot, De-Yong asks what misunderstandings they need to resolve, but he prefers to express himself through fighting. As they confront each other, Ji-seon and others watch closely. De-Yong challenges Gang-woo to a fight, claiming that his fists are the best way to express himself, and that Gang-woo will feel his punches. He accuses Gang-woo of interfering with his girlfriend and says he's stronger than the idiots who are his allies. De-Yong rushes toward Gang-woo to strike him. Gang-woo decides that it's smarter not to retaliate and takes responsibility for the trouble. He wants to end it quickly with his strength, but suddenly, Gang-woo is punched in the face by De-Yong. Gang-woo admits it hurts and concedes that De-Yong is the strongest in the school. De-Yong asks Gang-woo why he doesn't fight back, and everyone watches anxiously. De-Yong continues to hit Gang-woo with all his might, calling him an imbecile. He mentions hearing about the destruction of Gang-woo's games, which angers Gang-woo. Gang-woo becomes filled with rage and delivers a powerful punch that sends De-Yong flying, crashing into an air conditioner. Everyone is stunned by Gang-woo's incredible strength, and De-Yong is knocked out. The scene shifts to the boys examining the column that Gang-woo broke during the morning fight, and the girls find this destruction incredible. Soon, the frame shifts to Gang-woo's house, where his sister is surprised to learn that he got suspended. She shakes him and asks how he got suspended. She insists that he's not a violent person and wonders what happened. His mother then mentions that it seems he got into a fight with several boys and knocked them out. His sister finds it hard to believe that he, who she considers weak, could do that, especially against multiple opponents. She asks her mother if she had to go to school because of this. Gang-woo asks his sister to let go of his arm. His sister glares at him with anger and continues to question how it all happened, noting that he now has stronger arms and looks more muscular than before. She wonders if he's always been this way and if he could beat her. Gang-woo says he's going to rest in his room and that he's exhausted and needs time to think. His mother looks concerned as he heads towards his room, but suddenly he's hit in the head with a piece of toilet paper thrown by his older sister. He asks her what she wants, and she insists on knowing why he changed, mentioning that he skipped school and got into a fight, which led to their mother being called in. She believes they deserve an explanation. Gang-woo stares at the two of them. His sister tells him to at least apologize to their mother, who is still waiting for answers. Everyone is left speechless. Gang-woo recalls the entire situation and shouts that he is also a victim and had no other choice. He tells them not to say anything about it. His sister attributes it to the rebellious phase of adolescence and says they didn't know about it. As Gang-woo walks away, he mutters that they have no idea what he's going through and why he did what he did. In his room, Gang-woo lies down and reflects on the craziness that happened. He contemplates whether he should tell his sister about the game, but he thinks they probably wouldn't believe him. He mentions that he's stressed out every day because of the game, and it's driving him crazy. Suddenly, he receives a notification from the game stating that he has a new mission in the real-world mobile. He can't believe it. The game master greets him, praises his successful completion of all previous missions, and congratulates him. Gang-woo questions how he could succeed when the missions are evil. The game master assures him that he's capable of continuing to play and will provide further instructions in the instruction tab. She begins to explain the rules. Rule number 1 is that every player can invite 3 close people. Gang-woo is taken aback. The Game Master continues, stating that when he sends an invitation and someone accepts, they become an additional player. Gang-woo realizes he can invite his friends, up to 3 of them. Rule number 2 states that the total number of users is 100 and no more friends can be added once the game reaches 100 players. However, new people can be invited when others are no longer playing. Gang-woo hadn't realized there was a limit, and he's user number 96. The Game Master explains that Real World Mobile is only available in Korea, so all users are Korean. She then explains the final rule, how a person can exit the game. She mentions that players have 5 missions per day and 20 lives. If all lives are lost, the game ends. Each failed mission results in a loss of 1 life, so 20 lives equate to 20 punishments. The game only ends when the player dies or voluntarily exits. The Game Master gives Gang-woo the option to stay in the game by saying yes or exit by saying no. After explaining the rules, the Game Master says goodbye, and Gang-woo contemplates that he can leave the game whenever he wants, staring at his phone. Another Game Master seizes the moment to give him a mission, to complete 10 laps around the schoolyard before the end of the day. If he succeeds, he'll receive a bonus of 100,000, but if he fails, his most prized possession will be destroyed. At school, Gang-woo starts running laps, determined not to leave the game. He believes in finishing what he starts and has never given up on a game before. He feels stronger and more positive about this game. As he completes the final lap, the bullies watch him. Daeong acknowledges that Gang-woo is not useless and asks the others how many laps he completed, commenting on his daily training. In the background, Jiseon smiles. Gang-woo finishes the last lap and celebrates. The scene shifts, revealing that his 5-day suspension has passed. He finds it unusual not to be in school outside of summer vacation. During this time, he completed several missions in Real World Mobile, earning experience points and leveling up. At level 5, the Game Master informed him that he could freely enter the dungeon, leaving him wondering what the dungeon is. And he wonders what the dungeon is and when he last heard about it and wanted to enter, but his level was too low. Contemplating the option, he analyzes and thinks that because it's official, players leave the dungeon with many rewards. But is it worth the risk to venture in? He is certain that this game offers many rewards, so he declines and decides not to enter because this game is not very predictable, and he fears what terrible punishment awaits him if he performs poorly, as the mission penalties are already sufficient. He wonders what will happen to him if he dies in the dungeon. Will he also die in real life? So he decides it's better not to attempt it, as he doesn't want to get involved with something unknown. He stares at his phone and fidgets, but curiosity gets the better of him, and the unknown is eating at him. As they mention to him, access to that dungeon could happen suddenly, so he won't be able to sleep with this curiosity. He should at least try it once. So when he enters, he decides to see at least what it's all about. When he clicks, something incredible happens.